This is a quick look, teardown, and review of this solar-powered security light that I purchased on an online auction site. This type of solar security light requires a lot more effort to install. It comes with mounting brackets and hardware, and it's not as attractive as the typical plastic solar security lights you can buy that you pretty much just put on the wall and aim it and that's it. This solar light cost about $25, and for around $25 to $30 you can get something similar to this on many popular sites today. The main advantage of this type of light is that its construction is superior. The lens is actually glass, the frame of the light is actually cast aluminum alloy, and the solar panel included with it, although this particular example is very small, is actually a real solar panel with a aluminum metal frame. It has a tempered glass covering over the cells and a epoxy encapsulation in the back. It's an actual real solar panel that's included with the light. There is no plastic, except the box on the back is plastic, but that doesn't matter. That's not ever going to be exposed to the sun. I buy a lot of solar security lights and test them, and this particular market segment is actually my favorite because these lights are designed to last for years. The typical plastic lights you can purchase, it might last a year or two, but plastic eventually falls apart and cracks in the sun because the sun has a destructive radiation that destroys the plastic over a period of time. But these kinds of lights, in my experience, can last year after year after year after year. The only question is, of course, the batteries, which will only last so many cycles. And the other question is the quality of the electronics inside, which could be another potential issue. But you have that issue with all solar lights. I have some others that are bigger and more powerful, but I'm showing this one because this is very small, very compact, and quite affordable. And if you want your solar lights to last a long time, and you're a member of the Buy It for Life crowd, which I am, this is the kind of light you should be looking at. It's worth noting that this type of light does have versions available with ground stakes, which allow you to simply stick the light in the ground and just walk away. So if you're wanting that kind of mounting technique, that would make the light very easy to install. This particular model is intended to be mounted on a wall or a fence or something like that. I want to show the scale of this light. You can see by the size of my hand, this is a very small light, small solar panel, and the output on the light is supposed to be around 20 watts. But of course, it really is a small light. It will not light up your entire backyard. It's not intended for that. It would be good for lighting up a dark corner or pointing at a gate or possibly where your car is parked, just to make sure it's not pitch black. In the next part of this video, I'm just going to open this light up to see what is the internal construction like and make sure that it is waterproof before I put it outside. I will be using this light outside, but I always like to tear my lights down and look inside to see how they're constructed. And it's almost like a hobby to see how long you can get the light to last and to make sure that no water can get in. Sometimes that's a hobby in and of itself, but this particular kind of light probably already has waterproofing measures applied, and we'll just open it up and see what it looks like. The light also came with the mounting hardware. You have a light mounting bracket, a solar panel mounting bracket made out of metal, and you have these very heavy duty expansion bolts, wing nuts and so forth, and some additional bolts for mounting the light to the bracket. So very generous with the hardware. I'm going to open the light now. I've taken 3 of the screws out. This is the last screw. And you have a metal frame that lifts off, and this is used with the screws to hold the light window right here in compression against, and there's a silicone gasket, rubber gasket, and you can see it's a double walled or double flange gasket. So this is very good. This is what makes a difference between the plastic lights usually and the really nice lights like this one, which I think are well worth the money. Now the only question, of course, is the electronics inside. So you can see there's a blue battery there. I see some electronics, and you can see there's a grommet or cord keeper here, which is actually gooped up. There's some either silicone or hot glue in there. So, but I'm not too worried about this cord keeper or grommet because I'm not going to have this up towards the rain. This is going to be at the bottom. The battery appears to be glued in place. I can't see what kind it is because it's wrapped in a blue heat shrink. And there's some electronics behind the reflector there, which I can take the reflector off probably and get a look at those, so I'll do that. Alright, let's take the reflector out. And there's the electronics. Now, this is a pretty nice, tidy little design here. And I would not really put conformal coating on this particular board, although I have done it before, because this light housing is very, very nice and will probably not let any water in. But that's a very nice board. It's most certainly mass produced. Everything looks very good. And I'm not disappointed at all with what I see. This is a very simple solar light. You can see a diode here for the solar panel. That's the infrared sensor for the remote control. It does have a remote control. Probably won't be using it very often, but it's interesting. It's very nice to include one. And you got a small chip there, which I have not looked up. Yeah, I don't have a problem with this. And if you were very creative, you could probably put a slightly larger battery in here. So that's another interesting idea. So I can't complain about anything in this light. There's nothing negative I can really say. For the price, you're getting your money's worth, in my opinion. That's assuming the electronics hold up, and I have no reason to believe they won't. And there's no reason to believe that I couldn't keep the water out of this case with that kind of gasket. The only concern I would have is making sure and tightening the glass properly. There are a few things you can do if you like tinkering with lights, and I'm going to show you a couple things I'm going to do, and that'll be next. First, I'll remove this silicone gasket here, and I will clean the glass plate here, or lens, with isopropyl alcohol, and probably the gasket as well. I just put some petroleum jelly or some kind of grease all the way around on both sides of the gasket in a thin layer. What that does is it lubricates the gasket and allows it to move around a bit as you're tightening down the glass plate. And also the housing of this light is a bit rough. It's unfinished cast aluminum, and it could damage the gasket. So that just helps the gasket be able to move around a little bit, and it will hopefully form a tighter seal. And I just noticed on the PCB here that it says it's a 10-watt light with 22 LEDs. So, you know, the idea of 20 watts is, yeah, you never know what you're going to get. A lot of times they advertise a light or a product as one thing, and there's an online auction site that I'm sure you know which one it is, that they do this all the time. You never know if they're telling the truth or not, but given the price of this light and what I see inside of it, again, I got my money's worth and I'm not the least bit disappointed. And another quick tip. This light comes with a 2.1 millimeter plug-in socket that's intended to be waterproof, as a red gasket going all the way around. And what I would do is put a little bit of petroleum jelly on that, and then when putting the compression fitting back on, what you want to do is tighten this all the way down, and then make sure it can't come apart, because a lot of times you can get them pretty tight and they'll still come apart. You want to squish that O-ring down and make sure it's tight. Here's hopefully a closer look at the PCB. You can see there's no problem there. It's a decent job. I don't see a problem. Very happy with this light. Again, $25. I don't feel like I got ripped off. There's enough here. And honestly, the cast aluminum housing, probably $10 by itself if you were to buy that by itself. And to say nothing of the solar panel, I don't even know if you could get the solar panel for $10. It's a very small solar panel. I think it's like a 1 or 2 watt, but 6 volt. But honestly, getting this on a typical site today, I'm not sure you could get this for $10 after you pay taxes and shipping and all of that. So I'm just going to reassemble this light, make sure it's put together correctly, and pretty much throw it into the wild and just see how it performs. I don't know how long the battery will last, and obviously that would be something I might consider upgrading. There would be enough room, if you're very creative, to increase the capacity of the battery. But I think in order to really take the full benefit of that, you would have to replace this 6-volt panel with a slightly larger one. Incidentally, I have one that's about twice this big, and I may actually go ahead and put that on this light. Next is I'm going to make the light come on so you can see it. Of course, that's of debatable value because it's hard to show lights on camera, but I'll do it anyway. The light also comes with a remote control. Now, there's Chinese characters on there, not very much English, and it's a little hard to figure out what some of these buttons do, but it doesn't really matter because I'm just going to put this light out in the wild and let it come on when it's dark, and that'll be the end of it. So let me go ahead and see if I can turn it on. There we go. It's pretty bright, actually, and it's a cold white light. Now it does have what appears to be dimming features. Let's see if we can do it. Yep, you can dim it. Looks like it uses PWM. And it has 3 hours, 5 hours, 8 hours, and 12 hours. I'm not completely sure what these two buttons do. These are the power on and off buttons. But again, very nice. It comes with a remote. I'm not complaining. Again, I got my money's worth, and I'm not mad at all that I bought this light. Well, that's pretty much the end of this video. I'm just going to put this light together, and I'm going to throw it out in the weather and see how long it lasts. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.